Yeah. Okay, now it's streaming. But isn't it supposed to do them 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 things?
Beat me.
Cool.
No warning. We live. Yeah, I just got the notification.
That we're live.
Live now. Yeah.
But we can't see ourselves on the page, so what a go on.
Hey, anybody who's watching, ignore us while we get our things together. This is our first time, bear with us and all that good stuff.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome one and all.
Amen. Okay,
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah. Welcome everybody to the first live Becha Ka Nna podcast.
Yes.
Word.
Indeed.
Amen.
Yeah. So would everybody like to introduce themselves? That's normally how we start the thing, right?
Who should I go first?
Yeah.
Ladies first. Okay.
Only unless you feel it's sexist, then you know.
I don't mind.
In our democracy over here.
I'm fine with it. So now my name is Rejoice Macheta, and I'm the lady of the show. Yes, thank you. Yeah, and welcome. Thank you for joining us, whoever is joining. Thank you.
Okay. Word. V, you wanna go?
Sure. My name is Tepo. Friends call me V-Way. We're the hero, young poet, too much minus. Welcome to
Yes,
many AKAs. You know how rappers do. Welcome to Becha Ka Nna. I think the last host to introduce himself will also give you a background on what we is, what we do, why we called you here.
In the streets. Yeah, word. My mom named me to me, see. Yeah. But my name is Ra. I go by Ra. Also go by Fox. Also by many other names too. I don't know, rap things. But anyway, yeah. So basically we got together and decided to do this because we just wanted to have some real discussions about some of the challenges and the obstacles that get in all of our way, you know, on our way to becoming our best selves, you know. So we just have these weekly discussions where we tackle different topics that all of us have faced, you know, or know somebody who's faced that has made them feel like somehow they're being held back, or, you know, because the truth is there's no manual to this life thing, you know. Yeah. So yeah, the best thoughts that you can gather around you in conversation and other materials, you know, and other media like that normally helps to be a good guide. And that's all we hope to do over here is extend the way that we talk to each other and just show each other different perspectives which help each one of us guide ourselves towards our best selves with a wider audience, so that hopefully we start spreading good ideas, because there's lots of bad ideas out there. Believe that?
Yes.
Or Ross said so.
Right there. And so so we're launching this podcast.
Yeah, today we go live officially. Yeah.
And our first episode of the podcast is going live today, directly after this live.
Yeah.
So yeah. And
we'll definitely share all the links where you can listen and download, you know. And like we said, it's a weekly thing, so there'll be new episodes every week that you can listen to. Yeah. And then obviously we'd love to hear your comments, and if you've got questions and stuff, you know, hit us with it, and then let's keep the conversation going. And
cool.
Become those people that can always bet on themselves, because you know, we've discovered, or we've figured out the way, or at least we're thinking about all the ways in which we can conquer any obstacle and all obstacles that surround us and become truly limitless. Yeah. I should make a cartoon about that, right?
Why?
What do you mean, why? A cartoon about becoming limitless? Because it'll be dope.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Shit. But what do I know about making cartoons? I'm a serious guy.
Maybe somebody's watching that would be able to
make a cartoon. That's cool.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
That's dope.
But
Um,
whether you're watching this live or on the replay, feel free to leave us any comments or suggestions of topics that you would like to hear covered in subsequent weeks and stuff like that. So we aim to make this like a weekly discussion that we have on various topics with regards to the subject of becoming limitless.
Yeah.
yeah. And I think it's also important to say that we started doing this. We started when in Jan, the last week of Jan, né?
Yes.
And we have not ever since. So yeah, it kind of has become something that I will say that I'm kind of becoming addicted to, I want positive things in my life, so I feel like the more people, if you're listening to the first one and you feel like it's something that is positive, then the others are really going to resonate. And I feel like, once you give it a chance, there's no going back. But once you go black, you never go back. Once you go Becha Ka Nna.
What's that? Why are we? Okay, no, well,
There's no turning around.
Hey, man, hey.
There's no return.
No, but for real,
Becha Ka Nna return, Baba.
But I can definitely feel what Rejoice is saying, because these conversations, where all of us basically try to bring all of our light to the conversation, and it becomes a circle of good vibes. You know what I mean? Where like everybody leaves richer than they came, and that's the point every time. Word.
Yeah, and I see it. We come into these discussions not feeling great. We've had some moments where things were not so great before having our weekly sessions. But then after the sessions, we're like, you know what? God is good. Hey?
Every time.
In that space. Exactly.
Every time.
Send that link so that we can share it.
Share with people. Okay, cool.
So
let's see. Share screen.
I don't know. Is there anything else that we need to like?
I think we introed nicely. Today's
that's enough of an introduction. No, but also, like I said, or like people, please bear with us, because this is like our first time and whatnot. So we're still figuring all this stuff out and whatnot, and we want to include as many people as possible. So right now we're busy figuring out how to send links and stuff like that. And I can just highlight another thing about this is this is not supposed to be, I don't know, like basically this is supposed to be real talk. This is a real conversation between friends who care about each other and therefore are gonna try and enlighten each other as much as possible.
Yeah, didn't whoop whoop, my friend.
What happened?
Yo, shout out to Deeds.
What did Deeds do?
Shout out to Deeds.
What did Deeds do?
She's there.
Oh, she's there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for watching, Deeds. Sorry to interrupt.
This is heavy here. Anyway.
Yeah. So the link that we have there is for people to join in and be live with us. It's not.
Okay. It's not too. Okay. But what about a watch party there on live? Can we do that? You're the play the computer guy.
Sorry, just to answer Deeds, the link will be available after this live. So it should be available on the website.
On the website, on the page.
Simplecast. It's Simplecast.
Yeah, on the website.
On our website.
But also on Spotify and Google Podcasts and Apple Podcasts. So if you're on any of those streaming services, it will be available there also.
Yeah.
Word. Cool. Okay, no, I guess we can't start a watch part. Okay, let's get to it now.
Yeah.
Doing us attention. You know, there's somebody watching. Let's stop messing around. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll figure it out for subsequent how to make a watch party. I just shared it onto my wall though, so hopefully that's something. The actual live, yeah.
Okay, let me also share it to my wall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Come on.
Come on.
Share it to my wall also. Then I still have to.
I can't because I'm logged on as me.
So then, share to friend. Share on a friend's timeline.
I've shared on my timeline. Let's share on your timeline.
Yeah.
Cool.
Here's to me live right now. Deeds.
Yes. Please say something to Deeds.
What? Cool.
It's on your wall now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so but we can't start talking even while we fidget with all of this stuff.
Yeah, I think we've had
because
10 minutes already.
yeah. Okay, so what we wanted to talk about today, in particular, was So what we wanted to talk about.
You wanted to talk about
Nah, it's just okay.
That's interesting because I think and home.
Hey, why you feel like this, dog?
Yeah.
That's
just my opinion on the matter.
Hey man, relax, dog. Why you gotta be like this, bro? Nah, no, Machi. Yeah. So yeah. Cool. So today, what we wanted to talk about was because we've all been on lockdown, because of the coronavirus that's been spreading all across the world and taking many lives. First of all, I hope everybody and their family is healthy. I hope everybody out there is staying safe and staying healthy. And to anybody who is currently unhealthy, I wish you the best of health. And to anybody who's lost people, condolences, Yeah. But obviously, this virus has changed all of our lives, drastically, even with the moves that government has had to take in terms of locking down the country to stop the spread of the virus, know. But one thing that's become quite, an interesting topic that came up is how much South Africans have been going on about the ban of liquor sales,
Yes.
I haven't seen the stats, but I'm pretty sure that out of all lockdown related news and trends, the liquor issue has been one of the main ones. No, you say it's the main one, not even one of the main ones.
I think it's the one I saw. I saw this one meme. I think it was yesterday. You know how kids nowadays are mixing? How do you the cough syrup and something?
Lean.
Yeah.
So, cough syrup and Sprite.
This guy was like, "My 2000, please help. What are the measurements?"
So people wanna lean, no? We wanna lean, no? What's wanna? Yeah. But we just So with all of that happening, is wow, okay. How dependent is South Africa on liquor? Then you know what I mean? If it's one of the top trending topics around the lockdown, then how dependent are we? Is it safe to say that we're a dependent nation? You know what I mean? And also, for me, I feel addiction and dependence on substances is always indicative of a different type of dependence. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
I don't want to get deep right at the beginning, yeah. But I feel okay, let me get this out now, and then we'll come back to it, right? In terms of dependence and addiction, I feel like addicts aren't born; they're made. You know what I'm saying? So then it becomes a question: is how did our country make so many addicts? Yeah. So we'll come back to that though. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like we might as well just go in because it's not like we're light in the beginning and then. That's
not true, bro. We get light sometimes. But then I don't know if there were other points that you guys maybe wanted to put on the table, and then we can get to.
Yeah. For me, I feel and it's basically what you just said. A lot of us are dependent, and I guess we haven't really stopped to look at the root causes. We haven't really had that. We're not ready. I don't think we are ready for that conversation to be okay, why am I drinking so much? Why am I in need of, alcohol or whatever distraction, because we're not ready to face ourselves. And that is a problem, because if we're saying that, a lot of South Africans are struggling with this, then our country is we have a huge problem on our hands, a lot of us now have been during lockdown. We're trying to we're trying
no, but for real though,
I've seen a couple videos. Yeah, I've seen a couple videos of
if homemade liquor
lockdown recipes,
bro.
Yeah, but I've always felt that I feel what you guys are saying, and I've always felt that any dependency, any addiction is really like a shortcut to a more permanent, fulfilling solution, more permanent, fulfilling feeling. We have a comment, or we have a couple comments.
No, it's Didi.
Didi
Oh,
says,
Makoto.
awesome.
Hey, what up, Makoto?
Makoto says, we are borderline alcoholics, or we suffer from alcohol
That
dependency.
is so true. That is so true.
So it begs the question that you were asking, right? How does a nation get to that point, or is it a global thing? Is it a global pandemic, that dependence?
That's a good question. And another thing I wanted to bring up also is like the restriction. I mean which more called the prohibition of alcohol sales, right? Also, the other side of it is, for a second, it looked like we had gone back to apartheid policing. You know what I'm saying? Where the government can just say, this is illegal. And then tomorrow you're getting beaten in the street for it. Hold on. 2020.
I'm sorry.
Today's Freedom Day, right? Today's Freedom Day. We're celebrating how many years of democracy today? Yeah. Oh, we forgot to say Happy Freedom Day to everybody.
Happy Freedom Day.
Word.
Is it 16? Quick math. 26. Quick math.
Okay, so 26 years of democracy. So in 2020, in our 26th year of democracy, people can still be brutalized in the streets like that. That had me a bit shocked. Like, what's going on here? You know, because also like that raises an anti-government sentiment. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. But it seemed to have worked because we're complying than a motherfucker, ain't we? Everybody's in their homes. That's why they can start easing restrictions, because we comply. But then again, the boot to the ribs will make you comply in a bitch, won't it?
It's also like I don't know if there was enough time, enough forewarning that certain things were not going to be allowed anymore. But I mean, to be fair, they're also dealing with an unprecedented situation. You know what I'm saying? Like
another thing I heard apparently. No, continue. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Another thing I heard, like, right, which, and going back to the whole democracy thing and whatnot, right, is you would think that in a constitutional democracy, a 26-year-old constitutional democracy, right, and we'd at least get an explanation from the start, or okay, the reason why we are banning the sale of alcohol, even for people that are gonna go drink at home, even for people that are gonna order the alcohol and have it delivered. You know what I'm saying? The reason we're gonna ban it across the board, right? I heard for the first time in these last briefings, maybe I wasn't listening before, right? Where they were talking about like the link between alcohol and violent crime, right? And how that affect the hospitals. Because now instead of healing corona patients, they're gonna be forced to deal with mom who got
In fact, a friend of mine who was a doctor was saying how grateful she is for that ruling, because ERs have cleared up significantly since the prohibition of the sale of alcohol. So they are able to focus more on, violent crime has gone down, stabbings, shootings, that kind of thing. Alcohol accelerates these things. So
it does.
So what does that say though? Like, okay, that I suppose, let's put a pin in that also. That's a question about moving forward as a country. You know what I mean? Like, because all of us want less violent crime, right? And if now it's shown that restricting alcohol leads to less violent crime, like, I don't know, they're making an argument for, I don't know, banning alcohol, you know?
But I think a shift of consciousness is necessary long term. I think short term, like a ban, especially in times like ours, can work. Like immediate can work for immediate effects. Like doctors are saying now, they're seeing relief in the ER rooms and all of that from all of those situations. But long term, you definitely need a shift of consciousness. Otherwise, because history has taught us the prohibition era in the States gave rise to the mob, basically.
Like, dark underworld,
created insane levels of organized crime.
Because that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying, that like having a more communicative relationship with our government becomes more important, because I can that argument, right, for alcohol, but then the logic doesn't follow when it comes to cigarettes. Ain't nobody stabbing nobody because of cigarettes. You feel me?
But I give for cigarettes, they said that because the virus makes you, like, you struggle with breathing. So the cigarettes are an add-on to that, you know?
Keep speaking, finish. Whoa.
Sorry, I just wanted...
guys, okay, can I just suggest, or like, we read these once we're done and then have the, like we had said, we're going to do the Q&A after. Can we do that?
Points,
But everybody that's watching, please keep sending your comments and your questions.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, really, that, you know, with cigarettes, it is, it doesn't really do you
much for your immune system.
Just
specifically your lungs, which is obviously what's going to be affected by.
Most, And then I heard that, I think it's in level 4, that tobacco products will be sold. So at least people can kind of relax. But with alcohol, I mean, you've seen, today I saw a picture on, I think it was on Instagram, where the police found, I don't know what type of car it is or who the person is, but on the road, obviously they stopped this person on the road. They had, you know, those are expensive alcohols, like your vodka, like those ones that are like, if you look at them collectively, maybe that's like 20,000 worth of alcohol or 30,000 worth of alcohol.
You're clearly not a drinker, bro. Vodka, what?
Whatever.
What's that?
But those ones, you know, I was like, whoa, this person it was not their day today. You know?
And what? All that liquor was confiscated?
Yes.
Also now, in a democracy, we also have a right to know what happens to the confiscated liquor. We want to know. Where is it going to?
And I saw another one. I think it's in Cape Town where, I think it's in Cape Town where one store was, I think it was I don't know if it's a Pick and Pay liquor or ShopRite liquor that continued to sell alcohol during the, and you could see the police officers taking the cases into this huge van. I'm like, this guy made such a huge loss. Like, what happened? You know?
That's rough.
But it just goes to show the level, like you saw with the people breaking into stores and, you know, taking the alcohol and whatnot. It just goes to show how people can't, like, people are addicted.
For real addicted, legit addicted.
Have you guys been getting SMSs from the government?
Yeah, every day, man.
Yeah, where does the government get our numbers?
Did you vote? That's how.
So I think, so I think clearly they have like access to a national kind of alert system. So maybe they should have sent like more detailed SMSs beforehand. Like, this is not going to be allowed. This here is going to be allowed from section.
You're right.
Summarizing
they have access to us, you know.
Clearly, they can't tell us.
Yeah.
But now all we have is Corona kills. Stay at home. Do not only be outside of your pipe bread or you will die.
Yeah. And then strangely, like,
you love your family. Don't go outside.
On the radio,
like they going in. It's
They're hectic. They are hectic. Yeah.
But no, it's like, listen.
They're scaring us. They're scaring us. So I think it was on Metro FM. I heard today that so a lot of people have recovered. We've seen how many people have like recovered from the virus, and they said the reason why people are recovering is because our bodies have developed there's like some immune, right, that can fight the virus, right? So that means a lot of people natural immunity that our body.
So some people's bodies are actually fighting back.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why a lot of people have made recoveries. But what they were saying was that they don't know how long like the immunity is going to last. So that's why things like vaccines are still
necessary.
Yeah, you know, are still like kind of on like part of the debate, you know, are we going ahead with the vaccines or not? But I feel like if we have natural immunity to this thing, like, why not just?
But then obviously, then we still need science behind that. You know, it still needs to be researched. Or what about those people's bodies in particular? Give them
exactly.
immunity.
And I mean, there's a lot
can it be replicated with other people? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's also dangerous to just be like, these people could get over it. Then
maybe a lot of us,
That's dangerous.
Of course, there still has to be like, but I feel like there's enough evidence. A lot of people have survived this in South Africa specifically.
No word.
Why not just test those people and see what is the common thing, you know, and see how we can, or maybe that's how they're doing it. I don't know. Replicate it in other people that don't have that.
Sorry to cut you. I was gonna say I think generally it's got about a what is it, like 1% mortality rate, like 1 to 5 or something like that. mortality rate. So indeed it's not going to kill everybody that it infects. People will get it and recover naturally just by the nature of the virus itself. But I think that being said, it's still like the problems with it is that it's very communicable, right? It like transfers from
easily spread.
So if you just say 1% or like 5%, it doesn't sound like a lot. But when you say 5% of 7 billion, because now it's like a global situation, that's a lot of people now that you have.
That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. Now, can I say also because they're like, no, I'm mad. no, yeah. But also, that's the thing, right? Is if we're admitting that there's a lot of people that are dependent on alcohol, it means also that our local economies are also like dependent on alcohol. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
How many people went to school because their parents sold liquor? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? So economically also, in a democracy, there has to have been a more considerate way, I think. Even now, because we're not like they're only gonna lift the ban on alcohol sales when we get to stage 3. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man, because we have to think about it holistically. You know what I mean? I understand, but also I feel like we oversimplify because we already have there's already a perception like that demonizes alcohol and the use of alcohol, right? Because every time somebody tells you don't drink, they like, don't drink, you're gonna get in your car and kill yourself. Don't drink, you're gonna get in a fight and die. You know what I'm saying? They're talking about, or don't like, oh, I hate drinking because my dad became such an abusive asshole every time he would drink, right? Those people are being lumped in with people who can enjoy the alcohol and not cause no problems. You understand? You know what I'm saying? And you see, the problem with once you demonize something or once you see it as the problem, instead of looking beneath or what is driving so many people to alcohol? Once you say alcohol is the problem, then you are being lazy because there's no way people just go towards something. There's something calling them there or something pushing them there. You know what I'm saying? So once you demonize the thing, then you think this is the problem. And then you can stop it for a while, but like you said, we've seen how prohibition has gone in other countries.
Very true.
To a boom in the black market. You understand? Whereas if you get to the root of the problem, find out what's going on beneath it. Why are so many South Africans dependent on the liquor cost? You know?
It's just a symptom of a deeper problem.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think we could hazard some guesses as to what but major root problems.
No, for sure. I think right now would be useful to actually, like, as I've said before, like our psyche and our psychology as nations, as societies, as the human race often mirrors that of an individual human being. You know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, with addiction and adulthood, an early predictor of adulthood like alcohol dependence or whatever, substance dependence and addiction, right? Is childhood trauma, right? So for instance, even as a nation, if in our infancy we experience trauma, right? But then if that trauma was repeated and we became re-traumatized, by the time we become adults, the only way to cope with all that trauma, lifelong trauma that's never been dealt with, is you swap one dependency for another, right? Because that type of trauma, what it does is it enforces help dependence, where you don't trust yourself anymore. You don't believe you can do anything anymore, right? You feel like the type of person that always needs a crutch, right? You feel like the type of person that can't get through without help, Yeah, and then eventually you're like, okay, the liquor helps me, so I'm gonna stick with the liquors rather than actually heal. Because, like, imagine now at our age, 30 years, let's say you've been traumatized from the time you were young and re-traumatized all through your life, healing 30 plus years. That's a lot of healing, dog, which is also gonna include a lot of revisiting that trauma. And like you were saying, a lot of us are not ready to do that. As a nation, we've proven that we're not ready to do that. because there's no mental health there's no mental health program to, I don't know, for instance, help the survivors of real apartheid crimes. Whether it's the people that were taken away and tortured, right? Or whether it was people who lost family members, all of that. You know what I'm saying? Like none of that's being dealt with. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
What do you think could be, as a start, maybe if we wanted to deal with something like that? What, and I know it might be a bit difficult to answer in the sense that not all of us are dealing with the same issues. But what do you think as a basis, what would be, the best place? Where would be the best place to start?
Obviously, I think we have to lean more on psychology. You know what I'm saying? And I know that's it's only now. It's only with our generations and the generations that are coming after us where Black people are starting to take therapy seriously. You know what I'm saying? So I think we need to lean more on psychology, because you must remember that a large part of our trauma was, narcissistic abuse, which was a psychological trick to make us feel inferior, right? Enforced by laws based on that as a justification, right? So we're being traumatized, re-traumatized, and we were in that trauma wheel for so long, that the only way to get out of it, the only way to genuinely break generational curses is to adopt a new psychology, because our current psyche is effed, it's been messed with for so long on such a deep level. You know what I'm saying? Somebody was saying this already. Yeah, for instance, even as kids, when you're dissing each other, you'll always say something, what you black, what. You know what I'm saying? The darker you are, the more of a target you are. And that shows a deep level of self-hatred. You know what I'm saying? That kids don't even have to be taught to a point. Because it's they can feel, or the people around me don't feel that good about themselves. You know what I'm saying? If you've gone to where people are struggling, you can feel the depression in the air. As soon as you step in, you can feel the depression. You know what I'm saying? And even if you talk to the people, you can hear, or there isn't a lot of hope going on. You know what I'm saying? That's where phrases like "Hwatswana" come from. You know what I'm saying? That's where phrases like "Hwatswana" come from. My brother-in-law was telling me this about his there's neighborhoods in our country where people will just be like, I got fun. You know what I'm saying? Whether I get up and try or whether I don't, it's all the same. Got fun, I got fun, I got fun. You know what I'm saying? And that shows you that these people are depressed. These people are depressed. They've lost hope. They've lost purpose. They don't feel like they can anymore. So it's whatever goes, goes. And once you let go of that purpose, that belief that your life means something, that your life, you can accomplish something with your life, right? You become a very difficult person, because as soon as you adopt that Hwatswana mentality, then you no longer care about the consequences of your actions. You know what I'm saying? And now because you're hurt, you're gonna go ahead and do what? Hurt people, hurt other people. And then it becomes a toxic community, because this, you hurt me, I've hurt you, and then you went and hurt. So we're all in this, we're all in this circle of pain where everybody has hurt everybody, and we're just stuck together because we can't even imagine a world outside of this where there is no pain. Nor are we ready or willing to do the work, because, like I said, in order to heal, you have to confront everything, unpack everything, go backwards in time, and ask yourself questions but why do, because when we were kids, all of us had a certain amount of faith in ourselves, right? Little children have to be told that they can't, because if in their minds they believe they can. Little children have to be taught that you can't do this, you can't do that, which means a human being is born with infinite potential. You know what I'm saying? Somewhere in between. And that's why I think childhood trauma does that, because childhood trauma starts teaching you that now, as much as you can see it in your mind, right? And you know how we always say kids are most connected to God. As much as God is telling you you can, everything around you is telling you nah. And that's sorry, can I just say what? And for me, that's probably the crux of depression, is wanting to, but feeling like you can't.
And you can.
That's what makes most people depressed. You were saying there's a saying.
There's a saying that goes something like, it's easier to rear whole children than to fix broken men, something like that.
Yes.
So do you think that these problems are so deep rooted that we just have to wait for another generation to come up, or are there things that can be addressed? For instance, you're saying we should turn to psychology.
Sure.
What does the average man on the street do? Do you know what I mean? To deal with
The average man on the street
that doesn't have access to counselor or
that doesn't have
psychologist.
access to
well, okay. Now,
I
okay,
think
here's
that's why
my
a lot of people turn to self-medication, but there should be a way that we can orient ourselves or start to,
yeah. But then the thing is for me, I
something
mean,
that
if
is
you're
accessible.
sure. But then the thing is for me, if you're self-medicating, right, it means that you already understand that you are in pain, that you have some sort of condition that you want to come out of, right? Now the thing is, even in regular therapy, right? Yeah, sometimes they'll just do psychoanalysis and whatnot, right, and speak to you about your problems, right? But then sometimes they'll give you medicines that will help the chemicals in your brain balance out better, right? So what I'm saying is, self-medicating, that's the start, né? But to take it further than that, I don't know. I firmly believe, né, we live in the information age for a reason, right? All of us go onto the internet every day. But how many of us, right? How many of us are, because a lot of what I know about psychology, I read up on the internet myself. Like, you know what I'm saying? Obviously from credible sources. We spoke about this in another episode that, obviously you have to check your sources and make sure that they're credible, But my point is, you have to be willing to heal. You have to be willing to put in the effort. You know what I'm saying? Like, and honestly, right now, it's as simple as if you're feeling sad, like, as somebody who does deal with depression, there's times when you just wake up and you're feeling down for no reason. Everything in your life is going swimmingly, you're all good, and then you just feel down, right? And in those moments, it just means already the chemical imbalance is doing its things again. You know what I'm saying? But you can read up on it. Read how you can, because you must remember that, like, narcissistic abuse is a form of obviously a psychological trauma, man. But then psychological trauma does actually change the chemical makeup of your brain. You understand? But because it was training, because it's what you've been told, because it's the ways you've been punished, the ways you've been, made to feel bad, right? You have to develop psychological systems for yourself. You have to develop mind programs for yourself that get you out of it. So you're going to wake up hearing that voice from when you were young that told you you'll never be anything, right? And you have to decide, actually decide, or okay, what do I say when this comes up? You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. We're taking the time to actually read up, actually look, acting like somebody who wants to heal and starting to read up. Even if you're just feeling sad and you don't know why, you can literally Google, why am I feeling sad? You know what I mean? And get some information that will actually, because once you have information, right, then you have something to counter the bad information that's in your system, right? That's in your mind right now. You know what I'm saying? Because the mind is just the system, fam. You can make it do whatever it wants, which is why people are easy to fool. You know what I mean? Because somebody who knows systems well knows how to tap here, touch this, and then boom, you're doing whatever they want you to do. So the point is, you have to be your own programmer. You need to program your own system, deprogram from what the system has taught you, and create your own systems of thinking or rethinking. You know what I'm saying? And obviously, it's not easy. You work at it every day, because also your depression doesn't give you a break, fam. It's an everyday challenge. You have to fight back every day. So even if you just start making a habit of reading at least one article in terms of whatever it is you've been feeling lately, that already opens up your mind to possibilities, because that's how depression gets you and keeps you, is that you don't see possibilities. There's nothing except the bad information running through your mind again and again and again and again.
I think those are great options. I think that's a great option in terms of breaking yourself out of the matrix, so to speak. Looking online, definitely. As you know, as our friends are saying in the comments, accessibility is an issue. Not everyone, has the data or access to Google.
No. But accessibility is less of an issue in our era now, because
okay, but I'm going somewhere.
Sorry, no, I don't know about across the country, but for instance, like Tiny gives you almost a gigabyte of data, right?
Free Wi-Fi, yeah. But I just wanted to finish. I just wanted to finish a point.
Sorry.
I was on the way to say something. Sorry, but just quickly, I just wanted to say something else that I think is a possibility, or something that can help when you're going through dark times. whether you have access to internet or not, is to find someone who's done it, you know, whether it be in your neighborhood, whether it be on TV, someone who's like a famous celebrity or whatever. There's always examples of people who've been in a worse situation than you and who have made it out, you know. And just knowing that someone has been in a situation that's worse than I'm in and has made it out, it just unlocks something in your mind that, like, okay, maybe
It's possible.
Maybe it's possible, you
because
know.
we are the storytelling ape.
Yeah.
So, but then we all, like, my point is that we have to be intentional with everything that we're doing. All of us have conversations every day, but not not a lot of them are productive. So what I'm saying is you have to be intentional. You have to find those people in your neighborhood that are willing to share their story honestly with you. You know what I'm saying? And you have to be willing to listen and talk to them. Like it has to be intentional. It's not just gonna happen because you leave us to our own devices. We'll talk about anything else except our mental health. When's the last time a friend of yours asked you, like, how you feeling? How do you feel about your life? You feel like
my circle's different, man. Yeah. I don't know.
What kind of questions?
We ask each other pretty often.
Inside, but I mean, like, in your heart. How you feel? Yeah. Questions. You live in a for me. You're a healthy man. Got good friends.
You are the good friends. I don't know.
I just wanted to go back to the friend is him, ne?
The good friends is you, yeah.
What I was saying was that, you know, in terms of accessibility, you know, I understand, and this actually goes back to your point around whether it's up to the new generation or the coming generation to kind of change it. You know, I feel like for our like the older generation, it might be a tad bit difficult because, you know, for them, you know, like you were saying, it's difficult to change like an old person. Basically, they're stuck in their ways. You know, if you're 50 and you've been doing something for like 50 years and nobody has challenged you, and I mean, maybe deep down you've known that, okay, maybe I do need to do something to change this, but you haven't actually put in the work, or you haven't, like, it's the likelihood of you changing is like very like the likelihood is very like small, right? But with kids and like the new generation that is coming up now, you know, or us, we have an opportunity now to in our depression or in our like challenges or whatever it is that we're facing, we have an opportunity to help ourselves. And then with the coming generation,
write a new story, change the narrative,
whatever those beliefs are, you know. So I have like this lockdown has helped me because I've come up with like a new routine, you know, in the morning, and I affirm myself, you know, where in the past I've really been struggling, you know, I've really been struggling with like mental health issues. But now, ever since I started those new routines, I see the change and I'm starting to believe them because it's things that I see. I'm telling myself that thing every day and I'm like, okay, now I'm starting to become it, you know? So I think what we tell ourselves is also really important instead of listening to what everybody else is saying, because we don't all live in like healthy environments, you know, not all of us have like the best of friends that are good for us and all of that, you know. So at the end of the day, if you don't have that kind of circle, all you have is yourself and your thoughts. You know, you have to start with yourself and tell yourself that, you know what, even if the world is saying that I'm not this or I can't do it, I know I can, and I'm going to stick to that until I achieve it, to prove to myself that I actually can. You know?
That's real too. That's real too. Oh, and also, like, I had to learn that therapy is there's many different ways of healing, right? Like there's a multitude of ways to heal, right? And in your therapy regimen, right, there's lots of tools, there's lots of things that you can use, and you use what works, you know? So the point is to realize ultimately what it is about changing the bad programming. It's about stopping those negative thoughts from going through your mind and paralyzing you, right? And whatever it takes to do that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I heard something interesting about why older generations didn't struggle with depression as much. Like especially our grandparents and them who still lived out in the country and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Because they got plenty of sunshine, they got plenty of water, so they were taking care of their physical bodies. They were eating healthier. You know what I'm saying? So their physical health was great. That definitely helped their mental health, right? they had community. I see like somebody said, "Oh, talking to family helps." So they had community. Like the communities were closer tied. So you really could talk to people about your problems because your problems are your. Like if we're living out in Quadcott, dog, if there's a flood, guess what? We're all flooded. So your problems are my problems, and that creates a like, and that's why those communities are more empathetic because your struggles are my struggles. If there's a drought this year, ain't nobody eats it. You know what I'm saying? It's not as disconnected as our society is now. Like we're in an every man for himself situation. You know what I'm saying? Isolation. Now you don't have community. You don't have anyone who feels like they're going through what you're going through. Now it becomes personal. It's just me feeling like a piece of shit. Maybe I must be a piece of shit. And I remember when I was 3 and I was told that I'm a piece of shit. So I'm such a piece of shit. I ain't gonna go out and do nothing. I'm just gonna sleep here and then get up to go eat, stuff myself. Cause who cares, bro? Who cares? What's one?
Yeah, every man to himself, huh? Every man to himself.
Yeah,
there isn't that safety net of community of people.
So yeah, so what I genuinely think, right, is taking mental health seriously and leaning towards psychology means what we put it into our everyday interactions. You know what I'm saying? Like you were saying, what I would ask you about how are you feeling, right? That was intentional, fam. I exaggerate. But anyway, so my point is, bro, yeah, that was intentional. So we make like ways of relating to each other in a mentally healthy way, a part of our routine. And the fact, and I don't buy into this whole thing of old people are incapable of change. How many old people are killing with smartphones now, bro?
They're doing all right. No.
That's when it comes to looking cool, right? But we're talking about people who had never used computers. They've never used before, and a smartphone is a small computer, and they learn to use it in their old age. So they are capable of change. The question is the willingness. Are they willing to intentionally engage in behaviors that promote mental health? Yes or no? And when it comes to Black parents, most of the time, the answer is no. Nah. Like, why would I want to talk to my child about the problem when I got a belt and I can whoop his motherfucking ass?
Exactly. And our Black parents, I think this is like our relationship is not really equal because Black parents don't want to have that thing that I'm superior, I know better, you must listen, you know. It's that kind of weird relationship. So it becomes weird when a person wants to open up and talk to you about stuff. We don't even have that space, you know. But also I wanted to say with regards to like older men, you know, I read like a stat a while back that said the majority of like deaths that South Africa is seeing is like suicides from men. You know, men are committing a lot of like suicides in South Africa like now. And that says a lot about where our men are, you know, because men, I guess, you know, they're the ones that have to like provide for the family and all of that, you know, but it also has to do with where they are mentally. You're saying that they have access to these things, but they're not using them, you know. And I guess the question is, why aren't they using them to become better? Yeah.
That's a deep question.
Because you know, that's the reality, you know.
But then the other thing is also, like I'm saying, right, is everything has to be intentional. We must remember that the program that's running now wasn't an accident. You know what I'm saying? We're not limited to the ways we think by accident. It's a like it was an intentional program from the time we were born. So yes, Pray, from the time you were 3, you're being sent little messages, you know what I'm saying? That listen, because you must remember that there are people who have a vested interest in controlling you, right? And once they've broken down your self-esteem, once they've broken down your ability to feel like you can, because once you feel like you can, then you start thinking about what can I do, right? And once you get to what can I do, then you want to do things for yourself that don't necessarily benefit the system. So the system has a vested interest in making you feel like you're less capable or you can't. So then when your self-esteem is that low, then the first person from the system that's like, this is what you have to do. You know what I mean? Then you're like, at least I get to do something. So you're gonna go do it just because it's something to do and you were told you should, but you're gonna come home miserable every day. You know what I'm saying? And so what is that doing for your depression? That's what I'm saying. Well, the healing is a treacherous thing. Like it's a treacherous journey, which is why you have to be intentional from the beginning and keep going until you get all the way through. You know what I'm saying? Because also it doesn't help to just make it seem like, oh yeah, no. You just have to read a couple of things, listen to the right things, you know? drink the right things, and then you'll be fine. No, it's work, bro. It's work, because you must remember that the people that got us here have been working. Long before you were born, there was already a program to make sure, okay, this is as far as you're gonna go, or you can go here, but if you go here, we'll stop you, or we'll put you in a situation where beer is more available than books. So what kind of adults are we looking to raise in a society like that, in a situation like that? You know what I'm saying? Where there's more bottle stores than
libraries.
Maybe there isn't even a library, but best believe there are bottle stores. Plenty of them. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what I'm saying.
Libraries get burned down quicker than
that's our country. You understand? So yeah, that's what it has to be very intentional. But also we have to be very clear about what we're dealing with, you know? Makoto mentioned it earlier in the comments. She was talking about how we were traumatized as a country. You know what I'm saying? And how we've never like that PTSD. PTSD is real. Like, as a country, we're going through PTSD, which is why we don't make sense, bro. Like, even some of the things that we do, man, like, well, for instance, we'll swear up and down that this politician is bad and then go vote for him. That's PTSD at its height, man.
And, you know, I feel like maybe that's a conversation that we do need to revisit at some point, because, like, the fact that there was only the TRC and that was it, I feel like our government thinks we're stupid, hey? Like, just the TRC.
And that's it.
That's it. Like, okay, Lishapo now.
They might as well have stood there. They might as well have stood there with a checkboard. Like, no. Like, it's a two-step question. It's a two-step, just two-question program. How are you hurt? Okay, who hurt you? No, like, just three questions. Hey, how are you hurt? Who hurt you? Then they go get the guy. Farwood, come here. Say so.
Exactly. Exactly.
I'm sorry.
And then that's it.
Done. Go home now. What? Because and because it was taken so lightly, that's why you hear people who carry none of the scars of apartheid say things like, it was 26 years ago. Get over it.
It's still real for them. It's still real.
Get over it. How? Because the reason we talk of generational curses is because there's trauma that was introduced into a family, and then the person who was leading that family never healed. Right? Or the person who would later go on to start a family was never healed. So you have a whole lot of unhealed people passing the poison chalice, right? Because hurt people. So there's no way you're going to be a hurt individual and think you're going to get into a relationship and not hurt your partner. There's no way you're going to have children and not hurt them. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's the thing, is we have to take it very seriously, because the trauma didn't even start with apartheid. Apartheid was re-traumatization. The real trauma started when people lost their way of life. You know what I'm saying? When people lost their way of life, when people lost their communities, their identities, their way of life. And because here's the thing, human beings are adaptable, right? So whenever you have two societies living next to each other, naturally they'll collaborate in the sense of, we'll take ideas from here, they'll take ideas from here. You know what I'm saying? It'll be a back and forth exchange of ideas and culture. Né? But if you have a conqueror versus the conquered, like people's ideas that make them who they fundamental ideas of self, those get ripped away, replaced with a totally different system, right? And you can imagine it's the same confusion that children feel when they have a parent who's unstable. 1 minute it's like, oh, my baby, I love you so much. Yeah. Next minute it's like, I'm gonna kill you. Say what? How? You understand how traumatic that is, right? And then
what do you guys think about the sorry to cut you. What do you guys think about the aggressive behavior of the SA NDF? Apparently in Alex, a guy was having a beer in his home, and they came in and they beat him to death. National Defense Force, you know. And they found one beer in the fridge and they confiscated that beer. So it's quite heavy-handed. It's I saw them making people roll in the streets. That's what I saw first, the rolling on the streets and the squats and everything like that. But apparently it's been about 9 deaths so far.
Yeah.
Regarding to like the crackdown on things like drinking and all of that.
No, but like obviously, like I said, or like I feel like it's apartheid policing. It's unnecessary. You know what I'm saying? Like, but then it also highlights that we are, a country that's gone through so much pain that, I don't want to, we become sadists and masochists, basically. We become sadists and masochists. So what the cops were showing, right, was their sadist side. You know, the cops in the military, they were showing their sadist side because we're such a traumatized society where we feel like the only way to talk to someone and make sure they can hear you is through violence. You know what I'm saying?
That's how they show their power.
Because you've been taught like on some level, you feel like you are not enough. You can't just talk to someone and they'll listen to you. So you have to put on these super ultra aggressive type things in order for people to hear you. And that just shows you how traumatized we are, because it's not normal to think that the best way to get a message through is through violence.
Exactly.
Like, that is not a normal way to think, you know? We've normalized it. In our country, we're used to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it's not normal, fam. It's not normal. And that speaks to, the level of damage in our psyche.
It might even be the level of sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just saying that we feel like it's the inferiority, that they've kind of instilled in us, the only way to show power basically is through showing violence, But what I really hate about this whole thing is that, and it is reflective of what you're saying, it's directed at only Black people. I haven't seen any white people that have been treated in this way or any other races. It's just Black people. So why?
Poor Black people.
And it's by Black people, exactly. Yeah. So why do people hate Black people so much? Like, why do we hate each other so much that we'll be willing to kill each other?
Why do we hate ourselves? But it's the hatred of self once again. It's the hatred of self once again. It's because I got it for the longest time to get us to be servile. We were fed up lies like Black people are impervious to pain. We don't feel pain like other races, or we don't get tired like other races. We can handle rough conditions better than other races, right? And once you hear that for hundreds of years, fam, you feel nothing about kicking a Black person. You feel nothing about killing a Black person, because they're not like you. You don't feel like they don't feel what, you know what I'm saying? Because you hear it a lot in law enforcement, actually, because law enforcement in South Africa is very, very hostile to the community that they're supposed to be protecting. You know what I'm saying? Like, before, like, a cop is like, cops are the first to be like, what? That kid, he's a piece of shit. That one, don't even think, or you know what I'm saying? Like, the idea that these people are just lowly human beings that are never gonna be anything except a nuisance to the system, it almost feels like it's entrenched, bro. Yeah. Which is why they're more likely to react with violence, because if you already think, I'm fanos to I got slow, you know, and we because I'm saying, we're not a normal society. We've been taught that if you want to teach someone a lesson, you just clap them or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Give them a few, and that's not normal, fam. That is not normal. It shows you how violent.
So do you think do you think getting like extra support, like psychological services, things like that for the police, for the defense force, especially if they're like deployed in civilian areas, like do you think that might help?
I have an example that I want to give on this.
Go ahead.
I worked on a project like a few years ago where it was a gender-based violence project where I don't know if I'm allowed to say like these government departments, but the commission,
department,
like on gender equality, right, was conducting a study across South Africa around, whether there were officers that provide this kind of support for victims, as well as the police officers that have to deal with this kind of thing. And then police stations had to volunteer themselves to participate in the study. And nationally, this is a national body that was conducting the study. Yeah. So we have thousands and thousands of police stations in South Africa, but only 6 participated in the study. 6, not 6,000.
6 police stations.
6 police stations.
The rest were not interested.
They weren't. They're not. Like, they don't even know how to deal with like victims themselves when they come in and they need to like they don't like, it's not something that they are, because I feel like it's that old kind of, even though the name has changed to the South African Police Service, it's still that old.
It's still South South African Police.
Yeah, it's not the service, because they for them to that they are supposed to serve people.
It's still the South African police force.
It should be compulsory then, if they're not volunteering, no?
But then the first thing they're going to tell you is, where's the money going to come from? Hire psychologists and counselors. Where's the money going to come come from?
But even
Hey
if
chief,
it's there,
hey chief,
from what I
where's the
saw,
money gonna come
they
from?
were just not interested.
I mean, where did an extra 500 billion come from now for a stimulus to
That's
the
a
economy?
good question. That's
If you have a good enough cause, the money is there. If
these
you
are
have,
the type of questions we need to be asking in a democracy, fam. And always. Because that's the only way our government will start thinking we're stupid, bro.
Yeah.
Because the inconsistencies are there and we don't say anything. You know what I mean? But come on, get help, brah. Okay, chaps, brah.
Yeah.
He's got an interesting point where he's like, the law enforcement themselves, like the people who work in law enforcement in South Africa, don't believe in the system of justice in South Africa themselves. And that is so true, bruh. Because the official get out of a ticket price in South Africa ranges from 100 rand to oh, is it? You're a lady.
50.
You're a lady. You can get away with 50.
Yeah.
Me to be like, brag, I'm really good.
Well, I haven't done it before, but
so, you know, but this goes back to the PTSD thing, man. When law enforcement is pushing the breaking of the law, what does that say about where we are as a country? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy, right? It's crazy, and I don't know. I think when we're talking about this type of trauma, it's the type of abuse that really becomes difficult to overcome, right? Because if we're talking about early childhood abuse, when you're a child, right, when you're a young boy or a young person, like when you're a toddler, those ages, you know, like 0 to 3 or 4, right? You're discovering what it means to be alive and in the world, right? And the more consistent your environment is, the more truthful your environment is, you know, the more healthy your environment is, the more likely you are to believe that the world is a good place, people are decent, you know what I'm saying? And there's a moral code that exists here, you know? Like, you know already from the time you are 4, okay, this is the correct way to behave, this is the incorrect way to behave. This is how I get things done, this is how I don't get things done. You know what I'm saying? But now, when you live in an environment where anything can change at any time, right? You never form that stability. You never have that stability, which is why, like, a lot of us are prone to bad decisions. Because if you're not raised in stability, you can't tell good decisions from bad ones. If the adults that raised you make good decisions and bad decisions and more bad decisions or more bad decisions and good decisions, you don't know what a good decision looks like, right? So you're more likely to put yourself in situations where now you feel trapped. And then you, like, the only way to escape the hell that you are in is through the bottle or through a needle or through sex, you know, or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? So my point is that I don't want to say early childhood development, but but then it's different. But now, obviously, like we're saying, now how are you gonna go back to the infancy of South Africa? Like, it seems practically impossible, even for yourself. How are you gonna? You can't reverse your, like, you know what I'm saying? You can't rewrite your history. What happened to you happened to you, right? And I was gonna say the situation is also exacerbated by having people in authority, like parents or the government, right, that actually don't care about the infant. You know what I'm saying? Like, talking about like narcissistic parents where everything is always about them. Like, these people are childish, extremely childish. They cannot put the child's needs before theirs. We're talking about corrupt governments, right? Who are also childish, like selfish people, because they're always looking out for them before the people. You know what I'm saying? So now when that happens, when a child grows up without that love, without that stability, then there's a void inside. Like, inside you feel like you're never enough. Because in your mind, you're thinking, if I was enough, these people would have cared more about me, right? If I was enough, they would have cared about creating a stable environment for me. You know what I'm saying? If I was enough, I would be living in a healthier place. So then that void of feeling like you're not enough because you weren't shown that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I struggle to see how a child who's born into a situation where they were prepared for, right? Where everybody understands they develop, like, how they needs as they grow up and everything is provided for them, how that person can grow up and be an asshole, right? But a child who has to learn early that it's every man for himself, who do you think he's gonna grow up and be? Malevolent. Obvious. Obvious. You know what I'm saying? So now what happens is, for us as individuals and as a country, right? For me and my journey, as far as therapy goes and healing and whatnot, I've realized that for me, I can't change my history, right? I can't reclaim the childhood that I never had, right? But I can save my inner child, if that makes sense. in the sense already. Even after all of the programming and programming of all the negativity, right? Even after all the bad decisions that I've made and have had to like fix and whatnot, right? There's still a way that I can reconnect with my inner child and not erase all of this, but make sure that who God intended me to be when I was born actually sees the light of day. And you have to be an adult to do that, because only as an adult can you confront the people that raised you, right? And be like, I know you feel like you did your best, but the truth is, I never felt like you really loved me. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I'm, for instance, dependent on things today, because I never feel like I'm enough. When I was young, you never let me feel, when I was young, you never let me feel like I was enough, right? So even to this day, I still struggle with feeling like enough, which is why I'm dependent on anything that will make me feel like I'm enough, or just get away from the pain, escape the pain. You know what I'm saying? And one thing that we're definitely like addicted to, one thing that we're dependent on, and we're not always aware of it, is drama. Some people really cannot envision a life without drama. Like, they don't know what it's like to be in a totally quiet, safe, peaceful environment. And if they find one, then they have to make sure that it's the opposite of that, because they don't know how to. You know what I'm saying? So that's the point, is you have to decide for yourself, is what do you want? You have to think back to long before the programming, is who were you before all of this nonsense? Who were you? What did you want out of life? What did, like, even if for instance, right, you believe that the world was this fair place, but through experience you learned, or no, if you're the good guy, you'll get screwed over, right? Your challenge as an adult now is to figure out, okay, how can I be a good guy and not get punked? You can do that now. You have all the knowledge, but like I'm saying, it has to be your will. You have to want to be that guy who's gonna go back and save your inner child. And because also as adults, now that we're adults, we have the ability to change how everything around us goes. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to grow up in the same societies that we were raised in. We don't have to talk to children the way we were spoken to. We don't have to deal with each other the way the older generations dealt with each other. We have the right now to rewrite our future from the present.
Hashtag save your inner child.
Yeah?
Hashtag save your inner child. Pray in the comments, yeah. Do you think that so alcohol beverage companies, right? ABI, I guess, and the like, they have these programs that are like drink responsibly and like have like mentor programs
ABI is
in
Coca-Cola.
the community. No, not ABI. I mean SAB.
Yeah, SAB.
SAB. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for the correction. Thank you for the correction. Yeah, SAB. They have these like basically social responsibility programs to basically curb the effects of negative drinking and stuff like that. Do you think those are effective? Do you think they're doing enough? Do you think it's their responsibility to begin with? If we are saying that there are underlying problems, that alcoholism is just a surface symptom. Do you think it's their place? If it is their place, are they doing enough?
I don't think so. I don't think they'll ever do enough. It's like a drug dealer, right? He'll sell crack to every addict, and then they'll die of whatever drugs. Like, I'm just using crack as an example. Dick, nyaupe, crystal, whatever is popping in the streets. The person who sells that, even if he turns around, for instance, and I don't know, maybe let's say buys kids shoes for school, right?
Builds a park for the community, something.
Yeah, like even if he does that, it's like, yeah, like, has that changed the overall effect on the community? And the answer is no. So, like, for instance, who talk away about SAB's social what's, because I'll be drinking plenty SAB products. I ain't never heard of nothing like that. So like, their public face is not their customer. You know what I'm saying? They sell programs like that to the public, so that when they get attacked, then it's like, but also we did this. Yeah, I know I'm selling like things that will kill someone, will turn your child into a thief in the house, and now you have to lock all your doors. But also I gave your other kids shoes. So now, like, you don't know how to feel about these cats. So I honestly don't believe in a capitalist system that the people selling the product actually care about what the product does to you. their only concern is you coming back to buy the product.
Because it makes them more money.
Right? Because, you know what I'm saying? It's all about the bottom line. It's all about the bottom line at the end of the day.
And all of these other things, I feel like, are just tick box exercises. Because, you know, when you exist in a space, you have to show at least you are doing some social responsibility stuff, you know. So, yeah, because, you know, we made $1 billion from South Africa, let's do this ad, right? And I've seen that, Black Label has a few of those like campaigns online and on Instagram and whatnot. But I feel like it's not doing the things, hey? And you're right in terms of saying that the people that are shown in the actual things are completely different to the people that you find in a tavern drinking Black Label. So they're not speaking to the same people. They're not speaking to their audience.
I actually saw a meme like that where they were like, why do alcohol companies never show like a tavern?
Yeah.
What, are they ashamed of their customers?
Mm.
Yeah. But I feel like we're saying something before this that but anyway. Yeah, I don't know if it's gone. What were we saying just before this? Maybe it might be gone. Yeah. So as a country also, it's important for us to save our inner child, you know? Because the reality of it is people genuinely believe that there's no way to coexist as different people without violence. And that's a lie, fam. That's a lie. You understand? Because ultimately, like, it becomes a war for resources, right? But then, depending on where you're coming from, resources don't necessarily have to be an issue. You know what I'm saying? Because we had African communities in the South that were living where there'd be one guy in charge of a whole bunch of people, but they were sharing. Like, if you're a part of my tribe, from the time you're born, there's a piece of land set aside for you. You don't have to fight anyone for it. You don't have to kill no one for it. It's your birthright. There's a piece of land. You're born in a community that knows how to farm. So there's already like a way for you to make your own food and build your own, you know what I'm saying? And I think maybe that's an issue. That's something that we have messed up as a country, is that in our country, certain people are born to be minimum wage labor. Like, born to be that. Like, our country is designed in a way where some people are born for that. Our country isn't designed where every child that's born in South Africa has equal opportunities. Where we don't live in a society that tries to make the most of all of our individual differences and contributions. We live in a society that, as much as the face has changed, it's still business as usual. You know what I'm saying? It's still very racial. You know what I'm saying? Like, old white people at the very top. You know what I'm saying? And then old black people are like the under captains. So if you're an old black person, you're gonna be captain of the blacks. For an old Indian guy, captain of the Indians, captain of the coloreds. And then from there, it's a hierarchy of like, and then everybody in the black community is fighting to get to that level where they're the underboss of the, you know what I'm saying? And and I think the reason why that's not going to change is because a lot of these ideas are stuck in our minds. There are white people that genuinely don't believe they'll ever be equal to black people. Ever. Even when you can show them evidence and facts. The guy is broke as fuck. He lives in Coca Cola basically because he lives in a shack. You know what I'm saying? He's riding a taxi like you. You see what I'm saying? And that's that whole PhD thing, bro. So we really need to have an honest conversation about who we are as a country from the beginning, you know? Because even our history is still distorted. There's still lots of lies about our history. People still be like, have you heard the story where they were like, all they had to do was Shaka Zulu was show him a mirror, and then he was like, wow, I can't believe it. You can have all this land over here and over here. And I've read it, but like there's people that genuinely believe that people were giving away. I've read in a book somewhere, or something like that. Hold on. People were giving away land for spoons and other like European utensils that they'd never seen. And it's like, do you know who?
That's wild, because Shaga defeated the British twice, I think.
Dog. That's how you know it's propaganda. The history that we know of our leaders of the past from our side is not what we read in books. You know what I'm saying? What I've learned about Borana Moshweshu is not what I learned in school about history, of the history of the Basotho nation. No. You know what I'm saying? But that shows you that the program is still going, because gaslighting, right? Creating constant confusion so that you always have the cards. Right now, the authorities or the ones in power, they can still tell us whatever because they know we're so misinformed. There's been a campaign of disinformation for the longest time in our country. And it continues because we've convinced ourselves as a country that there's only space for so many people to make it in our country. It has to be a pyramid. It can't be a circle. It has to be a pyramid where only a few people at the top, and the lower you get, the more and more you are, the more crowded you are, the less people care about your health, your mental health, your living conditions. So if you are at the bottom part of the pyramid, bro, how are you not gonna feel like shit, bro? How are you not?
Also, like I want to agree with you, because I feel like even with the history that the kids are being taught, it's the same history that I feel like I was taught. If I look at like my younger brothers, like school books, there's really nothing different. You know, we're taught about apartheid and like white history, basically, not about who we are as a people, where we came from, what happened before apartheid, you know, how we lost like our value and all of that, right? We're not taught about that, because I feel like the system feels like once we learn about that, then we have the potential to tap into our power, really, and realize, okay, I'm not this thing that the system makes me out to be. I'm actually more than this, you know. Yeah, and I saw like one thing that I also wanted to share is that like yesterday I was watching this traumatizing thing called on YouTube called the doll test. Hey, and I was shattered after watching it. Hey, like
The doll test.
The doll test. I don't know if you've seen it, V. It's basically yeah, you can just check it on YouTube.
No, but I think you've heard about
I'm scared to now.
No. It's just about race. I'm sure you've heard of this test, man, where kids were asked to pick.
Oh yeah. No, I have seen. I have seen it.
Yeah.
I have seen it. So the test is they present a series of dolls to kids, ranging from a white doll through different shades to a black doll. And they ask them questions like, which doll is the bad doll? Which doll is the good doll? And they'll say, and typically kids will say, the black doll is the bad doll, the black doll is the ugly doll, etc., etc., etc. I've seen those tests, yeah.
Yeah, and which one do you look like? The last question is which one like looks like you? I was like, this is so like, how do you do this to kids, and how do they come up with that after? Because you could see the kids that you know started saying the pretty doll is the black doll. You know, you could see that they were like those values were instilled maybe at home, that you know what, you're beautiful, all of these things, right? But after a series of questions, like deep down, it's still there. You know, they feel like I'm not good enough. You know, I'm the bad doll because I'm bad because I look like this doll. You know, how do you then deprogram yourself as a person, basically trying to like come out of that? I feel like the system is just sick. Yeah.
But an interesting thing, right, that I read that always motivates me is, you must remember whoever's trying to bring you down is already beneath you. You understand?
Yeah.
Like whoever's trying to bring you down is already beneath you. So everybody that's trying to bully you, trying to make you feel bad, you need to know already that these people are already living in hell, bro. These people are already living in hell. And the only way they can feel better about themselves is to bring you down. So whatever you do, bro, avoid those people. Intentionally make sure you're surrounded by people that will actually give you a fair appraisal. Because people that feel bad about themselves have nothing but criticism for other people. You know what I'm saying? If you hate your life and you're a miserable person, you can't even congratulate people around you when they do good. Haters. Just stay away from haters, man. Don't like, and even the voices of haters, because sometimes, man, the voices stick around long after like the people are there. You know what I'm saying? So as adults, we have to like actually intentionally decide or what voices are gonna go through my head. What kind of people are gonna surround me? You know what I'm saying? And if you're not bringing light, bro, don't come at all. You have that right as an adult. You can choose everything, like from your family to your friends to all of this stuff. Like all like the most important voices that you're gonna hear every day, you can choose as an adult. You just have to be willing to cut certain people off and actually make an effort to include certain people in your life. And that's, once again, it's the work, bro. And who wants to cut people off, bro? We're a community orientated people, bro. The concept of cutting people off is foreign to us. What? Cut who off, Kanjak? Yeah, I know it irritates me. I know that I get anxious. Like my anxiety flares up every time I see it. But what can I do? He lives here too. No. If you're around people that are making you anxious, you gotta move, fam. You know what I'm saying? You gotta move. The people, if you are in an environment where it's easier to be depressed, you need to move from that environment, regardless of who you leave behind, because the truth is, you're like misery loves company. So you them is not helping them, is damn sure not helping you. So move.
Yeah, my girlfriend always uses the analogy of the plane, you know, when the masks come down. if there's an emergency on the plane and the masks come down, they always tell you, put your mask on first before helping anybody else. You can help other people, help the elderly, help the kids, but put your mask on first. Yeah.
First and foremost, you have to,
because it affects how you help other people. We're at an hour 20 now.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that we're at an hour 20 now. And yeah, for brevity's sake, we might want to start to conclude. But I wanted to find out, because we've had such beautiful engagement in the comments. Yeah. I wanted to find out, is that on the Facebook? Do we get to keep that, or is it only in this platform?
Oh, no, I think we're only gonna have the video, so that's why we do need to do the Q&A or whatever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have to go through the Q&A.
Yeah. Cool. So another thing I wanted to say, right, is the reason why, or a situation that also makes it easy for people to feel depressed, is when people feel like they lack purpose, right? Mm-hmm. And the truth is, right, the way this way of living was introduced to our people was traumatic, like we've said, right? And since it's been here, it has not done anything to accommodate our people. All of us, from the time that we were born, we've had to adapt ourselves to the current way of living, right? Mm-hmm. And it's done in such a way that your identity, your people's core beliefs, or like, for instance, I think of myself as a Mosotho speaking, as an English speaking Mosotho man, right? Because all my thoughts are in English, all my dreams are in English, right? And there's no way I can have that much mental activity in English without forming some sort of English identity, right? Or having some sort of identity that's English, or like I'm part Mosotho, part or an English speaking black person. Or
are your dreams in English?
Yeah, most of my dreams, I dream mostly in English. Because what? Imagine somebody speaking, I don't know, man. Most of my dreams, I hear people talking like me, I guess. Okay. Yeah. Or I'm thinking like, damn, I gotta do this. It's not like, I wanna, let me look at this shit. No.
Mine like
is it? Yeah. Okay, so
I love it.
But
I love it.
Yeah. No, but yeah. So what I was saying was, right, this system was never made to accommodate our people. That's why it is our responsibility almost to make sure that in every situation, in every institution, we are not just adapting to the system, but the system is also adapting to us, because it has to. You know what I'm saying? It has to. There are too many people. Because here's the thing, even if you're a young black professional or an old black professional and you're killing it in the system, you're racking up the monies, climbing up the ladder, you got everything to show, how many of those people are also depressed? How many of some of the people that were considered geniuses have actually committed suicide? You know what I'm saying? Like, how many of those people who rise to that level end up squandering it because they become dependent or they start making bad decisions? You know what I'm saying? Which means that you can ignore the pain for a while and you can do a lot while you're ignoring the pain. But at some point, that pain gonna speak, fam. And when that pain speaks, I'd say it's better. Like for me, I figure it's better to be broke and deal with the pain, right? So that by the time I get the money is post-paid, dog. You know what I'm saying? Like once I start progressing and prospering, it's a one-way road. Ain't no I'm gonna go for a while and then I have to dog. And the craziest thing is, these are the type of ideas that we that we should have been thinking, or that we could be thinking from the time that we're born. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's so important for us to actually claim our psyche. Like, you should be in control of what goes through your head. Only you, nobody else. Because even the people that you consider to be authorities, they know about life, but they don't know what it is to be you. Nobody knows what it is to be you except you. You know what I'm saying? I feel like there's a lot more to say, but it's fine. We'll cover it in another episode.
Why do you feel like you haven't said enough?
No, I feel like no. The thing is, I give it, new ideas keep coming. So, but also I don't want to.
You are you. This is truer than true. There's no one in the world who is youer than you.
Yeah,
As Dr. Seuss, I wanna. You see, kids that read Dr. Seuss. Look at them. They're happy. They're happy adults now.
Wow.
What do you mean, wow? Am I lying though?
Huh?
Am I lying
No,
though?
you ain't never told no lie. You ain't never told no lie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright.
Are we doing the questions and then?
Comments from. Oh yeah, so it says here comments from the Facebook live post, the POP live. So sure they are on Facebook.
They are on
Just that
Facebook.
because but you probably have to like
enable them.
no and
Okay.
refresh the page. But let's get back to the ones that we do have, and then let's conclude with talking to the people.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay. Cool.
Deeds, I love you. And yes, thank you. I just saw your message. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the support. You know, it's really appreciated. Thank you. Yeah.
And I wanna so Makoto was saying we're borderline alcoholics or we suffer from alcohol dependency. Our country is suffering from PTSD. We are young in this democracy, so being free, we question every decision government makes for us. But we're also highly entitled as a country, which is a huge problem and annoying. I don't know about that. Are we entitled?
I think we are. Yeah,
a little bit.
You guys genuinely wait, hold on. You guys genuinely think we're entitled?
I think so.
I honestly think enough. I honestly think we don't ask for enough.
You know what? I think that the government has created, you know, a people that are dependent on them, right? So we are so dependent to a point that we're not going to do anything until the government does something for us.
But we can't be
waiting for a savior.
Oh, so you mean that sense of entitlement?
Yeah.
It's like you've been giving this to me for so long that now you have to keep.
Now you want me to work for it? Why? Do you understand?
Wow. Okay. That is. But okay, for me, that is entitlement, right? That is entitlement. But yeah, it's entitlement that comes from their dependence, right? Because for me, when I say I feel like we don't ask for enough, I mean like we don't ask for enough opportunities. You know what I'm saying? We don't ask for enough accountability for the things that are supposed to make our lives better. We don't like. I don't think we're entitled. I think in fact we're like comfortable to just let the politicians do whatever they need to. But I guess that's what all this grant money is. It's a bribe so that you stay out of their business. Do you want your grant money or not?
Exactly.
Okay, now shut up.
Where does that money come from? Those 350 rands would have created maybe like firms where people would get employed and, you know, opportunities for people to have like long-term like earning opportunity. But that's not the case. The government doesn't want that. You know, they don't want us independent and able to do things for ourselves. They want us still dependent on them.
Because that's an easier way to win an election, bro. Like, how are you not gonna vote for the guy that's literally giving you money?
Literally,
it's like a direct buying of the vote, fam. Like, this guy is literally giving everybody to live. Why would I vote against him, bro? Are you crazy? So
I mean, it's not as bad as the States where Donald Trump's trying to put his name on the check, like.
You see what I'm saying? So what kind of democracy do we have?
That's directly buying a vote right there.
How do you see, sir? But I was gonna say another huge contributing factor to things like dependency and depression is a lack of purpose, right? And when I say I feel like we don't ask for enough, is for instance, like what opportunities do young people have in our country to write a different story, except one where they end up working for minimum wage? Like, where are those opportunities, fam? You know what I'm saying? Like, because we only have so many educational facilities, right? So there's only a number of kids that are going to go through the process of going to school and therefore being able to earn a livable wage, right? What about the rest of these kids? What's going to happen to them? I know some of them will find a good job and work their way up, right? But for most of them, I see a blue overall in their future, or an orange one. It's either the blue one or the orange one. Because either you accept what the system has told you and you fall in line and you get your blue overall and get to work, or you're like, fuck the system, and you end up in an orange overall. And it feels like those are the options the children, like those are the same options that were presented to us. You know what I'm saying? And it's still the same options. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I feel like obviously changing the environment and the psychology of home plays a large role, you know. But yeah, the government needs to be working in conjunction with, you know, the families that are raising children, because like there's no way out of it, you know. Healthy, happy, productive people produce. You know what I'm saying? Unhealthy, unproductive people. So no matter how, like, even if you're just looking at it totally in terms of economics, the more people you have in a mental state to work, the more people you have that are enthusiastic about going to work. You know what I'm saying? The better your economy is gonna be, because obviously, like if people are inspired to work, activity goes up, GDP and things like this. And that's the thing. That's why I feel like intentions are so important. Because once it's a person's intention to work, even if they can't find a job, then they are more likely to try and be an entrepreneur, or more likely to stick it out as an entrepreneur. Because also entrepreneurship becomes difficult in our country. Because if you're dealing with a person who's still trying to get over a low self-esteem, what do you think is going to happen to that person the first time they fail in their business? That's it, bro. He's going to go into some hole and drink his life away because he went out to try to prove that he wasn't as useless as he felt.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. What mental health is everything, fam. Because the reality of it is, every entrepreneur will tell you, I've taken enough L's. For me to get to where I'm at, I've taken enough losses. You know what I'm saying? That's how I learned, and that's how I became. You know what I'm saying? But that's what I'm saying is, we need to be, and we don't even have to wait for the government, right? These are conversations that we need to be having with the next generation ourselves, as big brothers, big sisters, maras, uncles, whatever, right? Is infuse the youth with a sense of purpose. Let them know that they can do something. It's gonna be work. It's gonna be hard, you know. But I'm here to support you if you're willing to take the journey. You know, like if you're willing to take the journey to be the most self-sufficient you can be, I'm gonna walk with you every step of the way until you're there. So we need like to teach self-sufficiency as a philosophy, because once somebody's self-sufficient, fam, it's hard to listen to bullshit, bro. Once you're self-sufficient, because then you realize, okay, for instance, there's lots of people now that are being subjected to abuse because you're a financial prisoner. Like a woman got married for money. Now she can't leave because she doesn't work, and therefore if she leaves, she's gonna starve. You understand? So self-sufficiency needs to be taught from the beginning. What to listen. You were born with a purpose. There's something you were sent to earth to do. Your job as a child is to figure out what it is. Our job as parents or elders is to show you how you can do that thing, be productive, be profitable, and be happy. I think, creating happy adults is a worthy goal, man.
For real. My grandparents told my mom that your education will be your first husband. You know, lean on that first. You know, before before you're dependent on anyone.
Exactly.
And she ended up living a free life, pursuing her dreams. You know, going after everything she ever wanted. So.
Yeah, and we need those we need that we need people's passion, fam. Like if they're equipped from the time that they're young to know, okay, this is how, for instance, how I go about starting a business, or this is how I go about marketing my art if I want to be an artist, or this is how I go about getting my whatever it is that I'm producing to market, right? Which is why you see like kids that are born into family businesses, they don't struggle with direction in life as much as kids that are just, hey man, if you go to school, you go. If you don't, you know, if you get a job, you do. If you don't, you know, because from the time that they're born, there's a model. There's a model of, okay, this is how this is done. And if I find the love for it in my heart, I can do it too. You know what I'm saying? And that's I think that's something that we can still do without having to wait for the government, is actually start thinking, okay, because I can think of it from my own experience, right? Or if I knew what I know now when I was 18, for instance, the trajectory of my life would have been completely different. You know what I'm saying? So it means that it's up to me to find an 18-year-old and tell him, yo, son, listen, son, you're not my dad.
These are the options you have.
Like tell the homie from the get-go, listen, bro, don't sip the Kool-Aid. Don't believe, okay, you're only gonna make it if you do this. There's 1,001 ways to make it. The question is, what is it gonna make of you, and what are you gonna make of it? You know what I mean? That's the first thing, and then we can take it from there.
Yeah. Also, like, I mean, we like maybe for the last couple of weeks we were playing Monopoly a lot, and I remember playing Monopoly maybe once or twice as a child, and I never really got it, but I could see the energy with the people that I was playing with, how much they loved it and how, you know. But now as an adult, I'm like, why did I play this as a child? I would have been like a millionaire now, knowing how to like property, like get into like managing money, exactly.
Money.
I feel like those games are so important to start instilling.
And if you've been playing them from young.
Now okay, these are. And I saw another interesting one on Instagram. It's called Sense to Sense. It's basically teaching kids about it's financial literacy. They'll teach you what a loan is, what is credit, what is I'm like, these are amazing. To get these games, we need to get young Black kids playing these kind of games so they know from an early age that okay, I'm not gonna go into that dead route. I'd rather save my money and do whatever it is, because we have that opportunity right now.
And the information is here. We just how they always say knowledge is power. We have to empower ourselves with it. The knowledge is there right now. You know what I'm saying? Another thing is if it's those games, right? As much as they appeal to the young mind, they can still help you retrain your mind even as an elder. And games are like playing games is a fun way of actually stimulating your mind and changing it in a different direction. You know what I mean? Because you feel like you're playing. Except that Monopoly money be feeling too real though. Monopoly is emotional, fam. V, when's the last time you played Monopoly, dog?
It's been some years. Maybe, yeah.
Oh man, I realize
it's too personal.
That shit is too personal, fam.
It's too personal.
Imagine you sitting there watching somebody buy up all the blocks. You ain't got no blocks. Every time you throw the dice, you know you're gonna have to pay this. Especially when
that's education.
Like with every dice roll, I'm thinking, damn, I'm gonna have to pay.
That's that education, man.
Oh, you're right? It's real life education, though, right?
Yeah. It's called an L for learning. More comments. Let's go.
Yeah.
Are you gonna read it?
No, you can go.
Okay. Alcoholism. Prashana said.
Yeah.
Alcoholism is self-medication for trauma, pain. What pain, right? Pain, right? Unfortunately, it's what's going to keep our immune system strong.
It isn't what's going to keep our immune system strong.
Unfortunately, it isn't what's going to keep our immune system strong. But neither are cigarettes, which is weird that one is banned at this time and not the other.
Oh, no. Okay, I'm guessing that's in the States. In South Africa, they banned everything. They kind of was like, I said no more.
Did you see that meme on Facebook? People are like, what is her name? What's that called?
Kelly Kumalo.
Kelly Kumalo, here's a husband.
That's evil, man.
I'm like,
That's evil, man. Poor lady.
Yeah.
What's evil? Poor lady.
Yeah, poor lady. No, I feel like that's not. I don't know. But let us continue. Let me not digress. That's another topic. That's another topic.
Okay, but I think we covered that. We spoke about it, or it is a form of self-medication. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And obviously, if it isn't gonna make your immune system strong, then it makes sense why they might wanna. But I think we covered that whole self-medication and the effects thing pretty in depth. Or what y'all say? What y'all think?
Yeah, no, agreed.
Yeah.
She also says that it's easier to raise whole children than fix broken men. It's very real. It's very real. I see with my son now, he's at a stage where he's asking, "Humaning, but why?" He always wants to know why, and it's important for me to be honest with him, even though sometimes I feel like, hey, but why do I have to answer this? It's a lot, but I always try and give him that space so he understands the reasons, not just do it because you're a child or whatever. I want to teach him that, okay.
That's how criminals are made. Keep messing around with that. Because listen, if you have a curious mind and you want to know why, but everybody around you would rather tell you just because I said so, or punish you for asking too many questions. You're gonna be a hacker for life, bro. You're always gonna be figuring out, okay, how do I flout the system? Because I want answers.
And nobody's giving me. Yeah. That's why I want to give him the answers. I want to, make sure that he knows that.
Okay, teach him how to find the answers for himself. From as soon as you can. I still feel like, getting a dictionary changed my life. You know what I'm saying? Because now all the curiosity, while I was learning English for the first time, right, having a dictionary, because now I had a form of reference, right? I had a form of reference that I could go to, so that could satisfy most of my curiosity, if not all of it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's an essential skill, is teaching kids how to find the information themselves. every child should know how to use Google by the time they're in grade 1.
Yeah,
I feel like, I feel like, but most of us are not teaching kids to use phones like that. For most of us, for most, black babies, a phone is a toy or something to play games on.
Yeah, they know how to play games. 2-year-olds now know how to play games. So
know how to play games, but don't know how to Google.
Yeah.
What are we doing? Creating another generation of pigs.
I think it's called Kiddle or.
Me, I want my kids on the real Google, and then when they see rough shit, the rough shit, then they can come ask dad. Why not? Then we can have honest conversations about controversial stuff. Then I don't have to have this conversation again later.
And they know from an early age.
Because also lying to kids helps no one, bruh. Your brother came from a stock.
No, it's that thing. Remember we saw
Para Christmas, bought you your new clothes.
So
no.
We saw a video about this kid. I don't know if you've seen it on social media, V. This kid, he heard his parents have sex.
And now he's imitating them, but it's rough, bro.
And then he's like,
and they're busy asking, what do you hear when you speak up to the bedroom door?
How do you teach a kid about sex when they've heard that? He's like, no. They were like, the sister was like, no.
We're watching TV. What was something I was playing on TV.
Cover it up. And the child was like, no, I heard
it. It's tricky.
Sometimes it's difficult, but I guess there's always a way around it.
And just to go back to Chaps, he said, talking about how I felt to the people that matter most to me, family, helped the most.
Yeah.
But that's what we're talking about creating intentional spaces, All of us need people that we can agree on. They're going to listen and not judge and actually listen, so that when they offer advice, it's coming from a real place, Because it's the worst thing when you have problems, but you can't even talk to the people around you. Because you're scared that as soon as you bring up your problem, they're going to criticize you like, why are you so weak? What's wrong with you? Why can't you get it together? You know what I'm saying? So now it's like, you're not even allowed to be human and feel pain and admit that you're losing right now. That's a rough place to be. But unfortunately, that's where a lot of us grew up, are still living. You know what I'm saying? And there's nothing normal about that. So for me, the biggest thing to take away is we must stop normalizing things that are not normal. So there's nothing normal about not being able to talk to the people that are closest to you. There's nothing normal about you guys always being 5-2 confrontation. Ain't nothing normal about that, bro. We should be able to talk like this, peacefully, give each other a chance, actually listen to each other and engage on some real tip.
And family doesn't have to be blood, Yeah.
Because we family, baby. Look at us.
Going back.
What hug?
Yes. Going back to Praise comment, definitely, about affirmations, yes. Yeah, self-care is becoming a movement. I see it everywhere. And I think it's, the more, we're making the circle bigger, the more of us kind of tap into that, we inspire other people to do the same, that quote. So definitely agree.
Definitely. And I think all of us should have some sort of self-care routine, because even if, for instance, you take, one day or even a couple of hours in a week, let's say you decide that on Sunday evenings you're actually going to take some time to do something that you really like doing. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's taking a walk, but something that's outside of your routine. Because it's those moments with self that will help reveal, okay, these are the things in my life that I do like right now. These are the things in my life that I don't like right now. You know what I'm saying? Then you know how to incorporate more of what you like, and also whether to move or not. I think that's the most important one. I think that's one thing that the lockdown has brought about, has made me realize. If you are living with people who don't understand you or who don't like you, and therefore are more likely to, trigger you and anger you, it's not a good place to be, man. It's psychological prison. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Do you want to move into the comments?
Which one? Oh no, okay. She was kidding. Oh wow, she wasn't kidding. We laughed at it when she was like, "Damn, when you were 3, right?" Yeah. And then the next part, she's like, "Folks need to know what that work looks like." And I think we all agree, right, Tore? If there's gonna be healing, there has to be work.
Yeah.
If there's gonna be change, there has to be work, right?
Yeah.
And I think we covered Tiap's Bra's point of the law enforcement not trusting the system of justice in the country.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then obviously, like, I think that pretty much sums up what we were trying to say today. Save your inner child, man. You matter. Save your inner child. Yeah.
Don't let your crutches cripple you.
Also, don't let your crutches cripple you. I like that. I like that. You like that a lot, yeah. That's real shit. Now you gotta come up with a cool phrase.
And I'm trying to find one. I'm like, exactly.
No, you've been spitting fire all day. There's no pressure. All day. The whole life.
We'll let you and pray heaven. So that's it. Say, don't let your crutches cripple you. Yes.
I love it.
No doubt. As we said, in terms, the podcast is live now. We'll share the links. Actually, we should probably share the link in this comment right now. The Simple Cost one. And then obviously everybody that is still with us, you can just go straight over there to listen and download. Yeah.
And thank you so much for watching.
Yeah, thank you to everybody that joined us tonight.
Yes.
We will definitely
thank everybody for coming through for sure. It's definitely been a beautiful experience having this conversation that we have. This is a conversation that we have between us on a weekly basis as we've been recording the podcast. But now to have it with our friends and with fam and to have it so beautifully received it's touching, really. So, and it's encouraging.
Definitely.
So thanks for coming out.
So definitely. We look forward to more to more enlightening, uplifting conversations and things like this. So for everybody that is still with us, we just put up the link so you can go to listen and download the first episode of our podcast. This is episode, man. This one now. Because I remember we had like 11, 13 or something.
I think the ones where we were together, we ended at 10.
Did we do 10 episodes together? I don't think so. I think we did about 8 before the lockdown started. And then I think the second one we did during the lockdown was our 10th one. So basically I'm saying all of that to say like we have more than 10 episodes. So definitely watch this. Definitely watch this space. For more discussions and convos like this.
Shout out Jojo.
Thank you so much.
I was saying shout out Jojo.
What was that? What's Jojo, bro?
Jojo is my homie. That's my brother.
What up, Jojo?
All right, y'all.
Good evening. Stay healthy. Stay safe.
Maybe next time we can give people the link, depending on how we can allow people maybe if they want to engage with us. You know how people are doing on Instagram now.
Now we'll figure all of that out. Otherwise, yes, we have been Amra. This is
Rejoice in the Lord.
And that is
Way.
And we have been Becha Ka Nna, the podcast for the people who bitch on themselves.
Who bitch on themselves?
Who bitch? I'm on here. Must bitch What part of don't adapt to the system make the system adapt to you? Did you think? Why are you listening to me?
You English speaking music.
Shut up. Peace, y'all. Peace,
Peace, yo.
Cool.